Long ago, in the land of Israel, there lived a prophet named Jonah. He was a man chosen by God to deliver messages to people. Prophets were called to listen carefully to the voice of God and faithfully carry out his instructions. One day, the word of the Lord came to Jonah with an important mission. God said, "Go to Nineveh, that great city, and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me." Nineveh was a large and powerful city. It was the capital of Assyria, a nation feared for its violence and cruelty. The people of Nineveh were enemies of Israel, and Jonah wanted nothing to do with them. Instead of obeying God, Jonah decided to run away. He thought that if he traveled far enough, he could escape the mission God had given him. So Jonah went down to the port city of Joppa. There he found a ship sailing to Tarshish, a destination in the opposite direction from Nineveh. He paid the fare, boarded the ship, and set sail, hoping to leave God's calling behind forever. But no one can run from God. Before we continue, if you enjoy biblical stories that reveal God's wisdom and strengthen faith, be sure to subscribe to Ancient Wisdom and Prosperity. And if this message speaks to your heart, share this video with someone who may need encouragement today. As the ship sailed across the sea, the Lord sent a mighty storm. The wind howled. Massive waves crashed against the vessel. The sailors became terrified. Each man cried out to his own God for help. They threw cargo into the sea, hoping to lighten the ship and save their lives. Meanwhile, Jonah had gone below deck. Surprisingly, while everyone else feared for their lives, Jonah was asleep. The captain found him and said, "How can you sleep? Get up and call on your God. Perhaps he will take notice of us, and we will not perish." The storm continued to grow stronger. The sailors believed someone aboard was responsible for their trouble, so they cast lots to determine who had brought this disaster upon them. The lot fell on Jonah. They questioned him. "Who are you? What is your occupation? Where do you come from?" Jonah answered, "I am a Hebrew, and I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." The sailors were shocked. They realized Jonah was fleeing from the very God who created the ocean surrounding them. Fear filled their hearts. "What have you done?" they asked. The sea became even more violent. Finally, the sailors asked Jonah what they should do to calm the storm. Jonah knew the answer. He said, "Pick me up and throw me into the sea, and it will become calm. I know that this great storm has come upon you because of me." The sailors did not want to do it. Instead, they rowed harder, desperately trying to reach land. But the storm only grew stronger. At last, they cried out to the Lord for mercy and threw Jonah into the sea. The moment Jonah entered the water, the storm stopped. The sea became completely calm. The sailors were amazed. They feared the Lord and offered sacrifices to him. As for Jonah, he began sinking into the depths of the sea. Everything seemed lost. But God had another plan. The Lord provided a great fish to swallow Jonah. Jonah disappeared into the darkness of the creature's belly. For 3 days and 3 nights, he remained there, alone, surrounded by darkness, with nothing to rely on except God. Inside the fish, Jonah finally prayed. He cried out to the Lord from the depths of his distress. He acknowledged God's power. He remembered God's mercy. He confessed that salvation comes from the Lord alone. Jonah realized he could not escape God's presence. He could not outrun God's purpose, and he could not find peace through disobedience. Jonah discovered that even in the darkest moments, God was still listening. If you believe God's mercy can reach anyone, take a moment to subscribe to the channel and consider sharing this story with a friend or family member who may need a reminder that it is never too late to turn back to God. After 3 days and 3 nights, God commanded the fish to release Jonah. The great fish obeyed immediately. It brought Jonah to shore and spit him onto dry land. Jonah was alive. He had been given a second chance. Once again, the word of the Lord came to Jonah. God said, "Go to Nineveh and proclaim the message I give you." This time Jonah obeyed. He traveled to Nineveh. The city was enormous. It took several days to walk through it. As Jonah entered the city, he began preaching. His message was simple and direct. 40 more days, and Nineveh will be overthrown. The people listened. Something extraordinary happened. From the greatest person to the least, they believed God. They recognized their sin. They humbled themselves. They fasted and put on sackcloth as a sign of repentance. News of Jonah's message reached the king of Nineveh. The king stepped down from his throne. He removed his royal robes. He covered himself with sackcloth and sat in ashes. Then he issued a decree throughout the city. Everyone was to fast. Everyone was to turn away from evil. Everyone was to seek God's mercy. The king said, "Who knows? God may yet relent, and with compassion turn from his fierce anger." God saw what the people of Nineveh had done. He saw their genuine repentance. He saw that they had turned away from their wicked ways, and in his mercy, he spared the city. The disaster Jonah had announced did not come. What happened in Nineveh shows the incredible power of repentance and God's compassion. If you enjoy exploring the Bible through stories like this, subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss future videos. And please share this message with someone who needs hope, forgiveness, and a second chance. But instead of rejoicing, Jonah became angry. He did not want Nineveh to be forgiven. He knew that God was gracious and compassionate. He knew that God was slow to anger and abounding in love. And that was exactly why Jonah had tried to run away in the first place. Jonah left the city and sat outside it. He waited to see what would happen. Perhaps he still hoped judgment would come. As Jonah sat there, God caused a leafy plant to grow beside him. The plant provided shade and comfort from the intense heat. Jonah was very happy about the plant, but the next day, God sent a worm to attack it. The plant withered and died. Then God sent a scorching east wind. The sun beat down on Jonah's head. He became miserable. Again, he became angry. God asked Jonah, "Is it right for you to be angry about the plant?" Jonah replied that he was angry enough to die. Then God taught Jonah an important lesson. The Lord said, "You have been concerned about this plant, though you did not tend it or make it grow. It appeared overnight and perished overnight." Then God continued, "And should I not be concerned about Nineveh, that great city, in which there are more than 120,000 people who cannot tell their right hand from their left, and also many animals?" With those words, the story comes to an end. But its message continues to speak to us today. Jonah's story is not merely about a great fish. It is about the human heart. It is about resisting God's will. It is about trying to go our own way. It is about discovering that God's plans are greater than our fears, prejudices, and desires. Jonah learned that no one can run from God. Wherever we go, God is there. Whatever mistakes we make, God sees us. And when we turn back to Him, He is ready to receive us. The people of Nineveh remind us that repentance can change everything. No matter how far someone has fallen, God's mercy is available to those who sincerely seek Him. And Jonah's second chance reminds us that failure does not have to be the end of the story. God is a God of new beginnings, a God of restoration, a God of mercy, a God who continues to call people even after they have failed. As we reflect on Jonah's journey, remember that God's grace is often greater than our failures. If these Bible stories inspire you, subscribe to Ancient Wisdom and Prosperity for more biblical teachings and timeless lessons. And if this story encouraged you today, share it with others so they too can discover the power of God's mercy and second chances. The book of Jonah teaches us that obedience leads us closer to God's purpose. It teaches us that mercy is greater than judgment. And it reminds us that God's compassion extends to all people. When we trust Him, follow Him, and respond to His calling, we discover that His plans are always better than our own. And just as Jonah received a second chance, we too can find hope, forgiveness, and a new beginning through the grace of God. Thank you for listening, and may God bless you richly.